Right, let's start. What's fine? Okay, recording audio, everything fine. Nice. Let's begin. So, welcome to the first class. I don't know how to do this. It's fine. Let's figure it out on the process. So, well, I'm gonna be like just explaining things. I'll record another video, so it goes previously to this one, so we explain everything. And this is gonna be like the main one related to start explaining things actually. So in this video, we're going to be understanding one concept that is very useful. Okay, this is the concept of happiness. Okay, happiness. Okay, this is like the concept we're going to be understanding in this video. But also we're going to be understanding. So, in general, no, humans like, okay, we have an idea, we have a concept, we have this. What is this? Right? That's like the first thing. What is this? How do we define this shit? By the way, this video is gonna have zero censorship. I don't expect YouTube to recommend it to people because I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want. So if you reached here, it's like very lucky. Like you have to get the link from someone, or coming from another part of the internet with some repression from my self-expression, so the algorithm doesn't censorship me. So yeah, like for example, a TikTok video like, hey, blah 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 blah, now come to watch this video, and here we are in this video. Sorry, I got distracted. What is happiness, right? What is this? This is a concept. How do we understand the concept, right? We have to make questions. I don't want to talk too loud because it's a bit early and it's Saturday and my flatmates might be sleeping, so I have to be a bit quiet now. But I hope this mic works well, so it's fine. Sorry, I get very distracted. What is happiness, right? How can I start explaining this? Well, first we're gonna understand, right? What is understand? What do we do? Well, first you have to think of it, right? What are the things that produce happiness to me? Well, let's explain one thing before this. Okay, we're gonna explain a bit of chilling coffee in the morning. We're gonna explain why are we doing all this, right? Why is it worth it to watch all these videos I'm gonna make explaining concepts, or at least analyzing concepts? Maybe I reach wrong conclusions and you can just say, hey, this is wrong because this, and then you create your own conclusions. That's the thing. You're gonna create a technique, a habit to just whatever concept someone throws at you, you can define it on your own, thinking on your own, seeing the world on your own. So your influence to other people's interests, which might not be the ones you have, that influence is minimized. And also because personally, when you are, faced with a problem and you don't know how to solve it because you're missing some kind of like knowledge or ability or skill to solve it, then you get stressed. It's like, what the hell? How am I going to solve this? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? So I'm gonna be like, well, let's stop. Let's think about it. For example, this is very general. Let's put a specific example so we can better understand whatever understanding means. So you are 18, you get your first job, or a 16 if in your country. This is a global video, like doesn't need to be relatable to anyone, but the concept is like you get your first job and now you have to pay taxes. Taxes are also like a global thing. Except in Paraguay, if you're a digital nomad and you work from outside of Paraguay, you're actually paying zero taxes. That's interesting, but that's not what this video is about. So you have to pay taxes and you've never done it and it's your first job. And let's say you're 18, pretty young. You're like, what the hell? What the hell do I have to do now? Man, what the fuck? What? How much? How much? How much do I pay you? Oh, I'm not gonna tell you. At least in my country, Spain, the state is gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna tell you. Oh, you have to figure it out. Oh, thank you so much for nothing. And it's like, okay, okay, okay. So how much do I have to pay? Then you have to search on the internet, talk to people, pay people so they tell you how much you have to pay. So you're paying more. Welcome to bureaucracy. Anyway, like, okay, how much do I have to pay? That would be like one question. Let's write it down with a different color here. You know, how much money? Or put dollars, but let's put Bitcoin. I don't know, or euros, whatever the hell is your currency, your preferred currency. What the hell? Huh? What the hell? How much? How much do I have to pay? Whatever. That's one question. Second question: where do I send the money? Or should I? What the fuck? Okay, I have to pay, but pay whom? Oh, the state. Yeah, but man, the state has no house. Like, what's the bank account of the state? You know, like stuff like this. Where to send the money? Another question, right? What else? What else? What else? Yeah, sort of like that. You have a problem. There's questions start appearing. How much percentage, right? Oh, we said it already. Well, how much percentage? Where to pay it? How much? How much? Like, okay, I earned like 3k euros here, maybe 500k from this other activity. Do I have to pay the same percentage for both? Different for each? What is it, right? How much? How much? How what's the distribution? What's the distribution? This much here, this much here. So much questions, right? Like it's a problem. It's quite complex. It can get complex. And it's like fuck, right? Stress, anxiety sometimes. Like what the hell? Confusion. That's the main thing. Like what do I do now? Like what the hell? Ah shit. And it's like fuck, 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 fuck. What the hell is going on? That feeling of uncertainty, confusion, sorry, um, is what being intelligent can minimize in your life. The more intelligent you are, regardless of the problem that is faced in you, whether it's paying taxes or defining a term, you will be able to solve it without feeling that stressed, that confused. And we will see later in other video that humans who are less stressed, humans who are less confused, are humans who tend to behave more nicely towards each other. So hopefully this thing we're gonna learn will help you improve the world because you'll have a better mood, right? It'll make you more happy. It'll make you more confident and more willing to just talk to people, to talk to yourself, to define things, to debate, but not debate in the sense of I have to prove you wrong, but I have to share my knowledge with you to see what we can agree on and find deeper truths, stuff like this. So let's try for the first time this thing to erase this. So that's kind of the main idea of these videos, right? To teach you how to think pretty well. And I will also use pretty useful concepts to teach this. Like, for example, happiness is a very useful concept to understand because, well, we're here to be happy. Some people say we're here to be free. We're here to be loved. We're here to a lot of things. Well, ultimately, all these things that is like we're here to be blah, blah, blah. It's because happiness is happening on the background. We'll see that later. Let me take another sip. While I take a sip, you can look at this nice capybara. Like, it's cute. I don't know. Like, it's this pretty improvised setup. So I was like, let's put some decoration. As you can see, it's really humble. These are my pillows. They are a bit dirty now. I have to wash them. They are over a heater machine. And then I put the whiteboard here. This is just a rest, so your brain can start processing information. I'm gonna shut up for a few seconds. You can pause the video, think about what I've said, write it down, right? You can write down Because this is not a video, it's supposed to just be watched. It's supposed for you to pause it, think about it, understand what I said, question it, find answers to the questions if you want, ChatGPT, internet, talking to people, to your friends, whatever, and then come back and pause the video, keep watching, keep thinking, keep understanding. Just think. I'll wait. Okay. Yeah, let's start with everything said. Hope I didn't forget anything. Let me. Oh shit. So I'm just, talking this from my own mind, but I have notes just in case I forget something. But they are pretty messy notes. I know I'm not even gonna look at them. They are too messy. Anyway, what is happiness? No, that's the question now. Well, think about it. Think about it. From your experience in your life, what makes you happy? Eating something tasty, that makes you happy. No? Maybe for some of you, playing a sport makes you happy. Basketball, tennis, football, or soccer, depending on where you are watching this. Chess. But there's lots of things that can make you happy. Sex. Um, Whatever. Some people are happy like programming things. They love programming. It's problem solving. That also has some degree of chemical rewards, the chemical rewards of happiness in your brain. So cool. Praying, even praying, like praying to God, whichever God you think about, like Jesus. I don't know, Jesus is a God. I don't know. I think that's a debate. As you can see, I'm not very religious, so I don't really know much about it. But Allah, Buddha is a God. Don't know much about it, but the fact that praying or religious stuff can also make you happy. There's just so much things, right, and so diverse. So what do all these things have in common, right? Because if you define happiness as sex, right? Let's take the simple raw thing. Sex is happiness. Well, if you define it like the concept of sex is part of happiness, well, not really. I mean, yes, but it's like a partial truth. You need more. You need the concept of sports. Let's just write it sports. You need the concept of, well, whatever the hell someone can enjoy. Eating food, what I said right now. Let's write this is a sandwich. Whether you think it's a sandwich or not, this is a sandwich. Yeah, there's just so much stuff. And if you just take these two, you're actually partially right and partially wrong because you're missing this one and a lot of others. There's so much activities that humans do and that make them happy. Maybe for you, you don't give a shit about sports and you like a lot of food, or maybe you don't give a shit about sex and you prefer these two activities. But there's just so much concepts and activities that actually produce the result of happiness. That what would be the next question, right? What would you think about? Like, how can I try to reach a deeper truth, right? Like, okay, how can I define happiness in such a way that I take every fucking single possible scenario and then I I reach like a more reusable conclusion? Because, for example, right, you are talking to someone. Let's make it another color. This is like Pedro, Spanish guy. Pedro, Spain. Ole, right? I'm Spanish, by the way. And this is like John, an American guy. That's more a British guy. We got a British guy here. Let's put some, what is very British? What is British? Like the Queen. Oh, she's dead already. Shit. Okay, anyway, the previous Queen. That's very British. Um, you're talking to each other like, hey, boy, well, how's it going? It's good. Did you have breakfast today? Yes, man. What the fuck? And you start talking, just existing like humans do in a society together. And then it's like, oh, you start talking about happiness. But there could be misunderstandings because imagine that she loves eating and you love sports and sex. Who doesn't like sex? I mean, there's people that don't like it. Very weird. Like, weird in the sense of unusual, like statistically unlikely. So there's like, okay, if you start talking about happiness, like if it was only related to dicks and sports, then she might feel confused because she was talking about happiness in the sense of very, very tasty hamburgers. And you might say like, yeah, man, I'm very happy. This morning I was very happy because I went to play tennis and then I fucked my girlfriend, blah, blah, blah. And we were very happy together, blah, blah, blah. And she would be like, what the hell is this guy saying? What the hell? What the hell? Didn't you eat? You know, this is a very absurd example, but it gives you the feeling, right, of how these things work. The thing is, the main thing I'm trying to explain here is human communication. Okay, so that's the thing we're trying to achieve in life, right? Like we have different experiences, different vocabulary, different ways of thinking about things, and somehow we must coordinate them so we can work together and have a better life. And what is a better life? Well, ultimately, we're all just trying to be happy and not to die. Of course, that's another requisite. Like survive, man, survive. You know, like I'm not thinking about if I'm gonna be alive tomorrow or in a few hours. I know I'm gonna be alive. So next goal, happiness, and we have to coordinate somehow. So it's a better life, right? Because humans coordinate. I'm in this fucking room, which I couldn't have built myself alone. You can extrapolate this to anything. You know, this fan who is putting air into my hair. Well, that wouldn't exist if I was alone or just me and Pedro, because Pedro is not a, you know, Pedro is a soccer player actually, so he couldn't. I mean, I'm not saying soccer players don't know how to build fans, but statistically speaking, soccer players do not know how to build fans. There's always an exception, and that's like a healthy thing to remind yourself when you're learning. When you're living and enjoying life, don't think about it this way because then it's boring, stressing. But when you're learning, it's good to think about statistics, chances, right? Soccer players knowing how to build a fan, statistically unlikely, but possible. And if you want to reach deeper truth, you don't have to get like, oh, this is very unlikely, reject. No, you have to include in your definition. So later, if you both share the same definition, if this definition is shared by you both, you can adapt to reality, to whatever problem you have, in a more complete way, thus creating better results. That's why it's important to be able to define concepts in the most realistic way, so we can better coordinate with each other regardless of who we're talking to, because our ideas, our concepts, our mental models that we use to transmit information, to speak, can better coordinate with other humans regardless of who they are. So let's try to define happiness in a way that applies to everyone in this world. Now let's do a pause. Okay, I'm gonna be erasing this. You think about it and you question it, you write it down, whatever hell you want to do. Let's see if this is recording, just in case. Sure, everything is fine. Mic is on, no, battery is fine. Think, you just think, okay? Don't look at my my muscles. Just think, come on, don't get distracted. Oh shit, this takes a bit of time to erase. Well, that means more time for you to think. I'm just gonna erase everything. Oh, I guess these towels get dry so quickly. Fuck myself. Okay, we got it. Kind of dirty, but it will do. Okay, let's go back to happiness. Let's make it more clean. Shit, it erases a bit anyway. Like that's good. Two N's or one N? I don't give a shit. It's not pretty relevant now. Boom, happiness. Here we go again. Oh shit, here we go again. Okay. Let's think. Yes, the general way of defining happiness for all humans. Well, if we get scientific here, let's get scientific. Oh, where is this? Let me 1 second. Okay, this is not like super scientist, but it gets a bit of more of a thought. Let's think about it, gentlemen. If we get scientific, what is happiness, right? Happiness is a chemical reaction. Oh, it's falling, maybe. Happiness is just a chemical reaction of certain chemicals in your brain, and that makes you feel happiness. Those chemicals are dopamine and maybe serotonin or something like that. No, I think it's more like dopamine. Anyway, we don't need that detail now. If you're interested about the detail, feel free to talk about that with ChatGPT and experts or AI. Let's just not give too much brand name. They are not paying me, so I'm not naming their brand. Look at me, how independent. So yeah, you just talk to ChatGPT about what are the chemicals exactly. The thing is, it's just chemicals in our brain with some reaction, and then it's like, whoa, happy. Well, that's more like cocaine, right? Like, which, I mean, cocaine makes you happy, but don't do drugs. Don't do drugs. We will talk about drugs later. So that chemical reaction in your, or maybe do drugs. Think about it. Think. That's the answer. What's the answer? Think. Chemical reaction in your brain. That's what all this like things that we draw earlier produce in your brain and make you happy. Now, you'll have to figure out, right? What are the activities that make me feel this? What are the patterns that make me feel this? Like, because, yeah, we can call it activities. I prefer to call them execution of patterns, right? Watching a very beautiful Italian lake in a sunset, that's very beautiful. It makes me happy. Sure, because at the end of the day, it's like making this chemical reward, right? So that's like the thing, no? Right? The thing that we all share, regardless of our interest. We share this chemical reward reaction. But here's the complex part. Not everyone has the same reaction to patterns that creates this reaction, chemical reaction in your brain. So here's the complex thing. You might like football, maybe he likes whatever, what other activity can it be? Maybe he likes swimming, maybe he likes just, learning. You can like learning. And, well, you might not be able to share time together much because what makes you happy is not what makes them happy. So it doesn't really make sense once survival is statistically granted. Because, well, I'm gonna get bored, and if I get bored, I don't get happy. And if I don't get happy, I feel bad, and we don't want to feel bad. Like, everything we do is so we eventually feel good, not so we eventually feel bad. So it's gonna be like, I like this other thing. I like this other thing, but Pedro is like, I like this, but not this. But yes, I actually like like this. So we have to, after, coordinate together somehow. And to coordinate, as we saw, we need intelligence. We need to be able to communicate properly, to understand each other properly, and to understand each other properly, we need to understand things in a way that is pretty complete, not just partial. Of course, we are humans, and we are doomed to be wrong and right at the same time. So we're gonna have to have, like, it's a never-ending game. You always have to be learning, maybe a little bit every day, not too much, because then you get stressed too. You don't socialize, and then that's bad, because we are social animals. We need each other, not just to be happy, but also to survive. I mean, some people might say, yeah, but you can be, there's like these freaks on the computer that are alone all day in the computer, and they're happy, and it's true, they're happy. But the only reason why they can be in the computer is because we are providing food for them. So we eventually need each other, at least to survive. And also, everyone has a tolerance, right? Eventually, you cannot just do something forever, because there's a tolerance. There's a tolerance to it. If you, I don't know, let's say I like to go for a run, but I do it every morning, every afternoon, every night, today, tomorrow, the next. You eventually get bored of it. And that's a fact. That's just a fact. Maybe some people will get bored when they have done this for 784 days. Maybe some people get bored in 1 week. But you eventually get bored, and you need to explore. You need to move, to try something new. And that's why humans explore. Why? That's how the chemistry in our brain tells us to do so. We feel happiness doing something, we get rewards, then we eventually get less rewards, and it's like, time to explore, let's find another thing. I've been running, well, now I'm gonna be like cycling, whatever, like, or just maybe running with other people. That's also a variation. That's a slightly different activity. And because there is novelty, the brain is like, oh, more rewards, guy. Good job, you're exploring. So why does this happen, right? Well, that's how it works. I don't know if I should keep explaining it this way, because I'm not promoting your thinking. I'm just giving you the answer. So yeah, let's just step away from this kind of explanation. I'm improvising the class, as you might see. It's the first bit. This is a testing video, just testing. Pim pam pum pim. So that's how our biology works. Like, you might be thinking, okay, but why, right? Why do we do this? Well, one theory is that if you're a human and you explore, and then you know more stuff because you have explored, well, reality is very chaotic and anything can happen. Sometimes you are in your home and a tornado appears. Not in my area, but some people have that, or a tsunami, or like a, how is this, a virus epidemic and shit like this. So you gotta be ready. You gotta know a lot of stuff, and the more you know and the more you control, the easier for you is to adapt and overcome the challenge. So that's why we explore, and that's just something we have inside ourselves. The same way we breathe, we explore. It's a natural reaction that is coded in our brain chemistry. So let's finish this. So we do things. Some people like one thing, some people like other things. We feel the happiness chemical reaction, then we get bored, and then we move. And that's just you can understand it as a survival mechanism, adaptation mechanism that helps us adapt, evolve. Like, if we humans have survived for so long, humans have been alive for a very, very long time. Look, so long, I cannot reach. I should paint the wall, but I'm not gonna paint the wall because it's not my home. I'm renting. So yeah, we have been alive for so long. The reason why is because, well, we have the ability to communicate with each other, as we saw earlier. and we have the ability to enjoy our time, so we keep being with each other, and that makes us survive. And then later, we seek happiness, we seek this chemical reaction, and whenever we stop seeking it, because whatever, we're bored of whatever activity we're doing, then we look for other things, slightly different or completely different, that just depends. And then we start segregating, no, that's not the word, secreting happiness, the chemicals of happiness again. But we need to explore. Some people need to explore more, some people need to explore less. As we said, some people get tired at the week, some people get tired at 783 days. It really depends. And as you can see, reality is complex. I'm saying all the time, it depends on the time. Some people like this sport, some people like this other sport, some people like this whatever, this activity. Some people like to paint, some people like to sing, some people like sex a lot, some people don't like sex that much. I'm saying sex all the time because it's pretty obvious, like it's a really instinct, it's something everyone can relate to this, regardless of where you are. Because maybe there's no like tennis, if I start explaining it with tennis, the countries who don't have tennis, they will not understand that much. But if I talk about sex, everyone will understand. So don't think I'm a pervert, which I am. No, maybe I am. Think about it. So blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's pretty complex, right? Everything is pretty complex. You need to survive, which is a complex task on itself. Then you need to be happy, to know what are the things that make you happy, to know in which interval you have to execute them, so you don't get bored of them. And if you get bored of them, you have to know how to explore, where to go, who to talk to. It's very complex, man. And that's why people are unhappy, because it's difficult. It's just difficult. Don't think it's easy. It's not. And that's why people create rules. That's why people create limitations, so they can guide themselves more easily. If this is our brain, and this is reality throws information at your brain, and your brain has to react, right? This is your body. But you have to react in a way that you don't die. That's how we are programmed. That's what we do. Why? I don't know, man. It's just how it is. Why rocks fall to the ground? Because of gravity. Yeah, but why is gravity? Oh, man, it's just how it is. It's just a physical reality. So that's what we do. We react to reality in a way that we survive, and later we are happy. And we need others to do so, because we are pretty weak. Because lions have teeth, and we don't have that teeth, and they are very big, and we are very small. And this is me. This is a lion. If we fight, I die. You too. But if we are like 300 people versus one lion, man, you die now. So that's the thing. This is reality. Maybe it's a lion. Let's throw information. You see it. Well, let's say it's something more complex, not just a lion. And then you have to think about it. I mean, if it's a lion, instincts come in. What are instincts? Well, I'll talk about it later. And it's like, run, man, run away. Phew. But if it's something more complex, you have to think about it. But the brain is a biological machine. It's like a computer. If you put too much things to your phone, if you open so many windows, and you're calling your grandma, and you're doing a lot of things in your phone, it heats up, right? It heats up. That's like a pretty relatable thing. Or it slows down, right? Because it's just physical reality. There's atoms inside of your fucking phone who are interacting with each other at very, very high speeds. And that's like, bro, stop. I'm getting tired, right? So your brain is the same thing, but with more complex chemistry than in your phone. So whenever they receive information, the same way you send information to your phone, like, hey, I want to open this window, then I want to search how to cook a lemon pie, and then I'm gonna send this to my grandma, but my friend is texting me at the same time, so the phone is doing so much things. Well, your brain is the same, but with chemistry. carbon chemistry, shit like that. So your brain heats up and it cannot just process all the information. Right now I'm getting a lot of information. There's like this light here, phone here, I'm thinking, there's like this thing here moving a bit, there's this capybara that sometimes turns off and I have to turn on again, there's my coffee here, there's my scientific thing here. I don't have to be paying attention to everything. I can't, because then my brain heats up too much. So I just don't do it. I'm programmed, like physical reality, to not do it. So I have to slowly process everything, focus on little chunks of information so I can react and create something useful, like this class. So that's how our brain works, right? Let's call it like rationality, right? We cannot rationally process all the information that reality throws at us. So we have to think, slow down, and create beliefs. For example, I believe that this building is not gonna fall. I'm not questioning, it could fall. Why not? I don't have enough information to understand and to know that the person who created this building did it properly and it's not going to fall right now, right? So I'm like, okay, I choose to believe. By the way, this is the origin of beliefs, any kind of belief. So I believe that the building is not going to fall. And I believe it in part because if it hasn't fallen in it hasn't fallen in how much time I've been here? 6 months? In 6 months, it will not fall tomorrow. But the thing is, I believe, I cannot assure it to you with a mathematical proof like x plus x squared equal building not falling. No, that's not a thing. Maybe I can do it, but I don't have the time to do it. So I choose to believe. And that's just telling your brain to assume a truth, to fix that information as truth, while you solve other stuff. In my case, I'm solving the problem of creating this class. But in your case, maybe you choose to believe the building is not going to fall, and you solve the problem of, I'm hungry, I'm going to cook something. And this is, by the way, how religions work and the natural explanation of religions. For example, in the old times with the Greeks and everything, I don't know why the volcano erupts. And I don't want to worry about why it erupts. I create a god. I say, volcanoes, the god of volcanoes, I don't really know the name of that, is the reason why it happens. And when he gets angry, it happens. And to not make him angry, we have to kill a baby every 2 weeks in the square. I don't know, whatever shit. Or maybe something more friendly, like, we have to pray every Sunday so volcano doesn't get angry. And to pray, we have to, I don't know, create a magma and whatever you want to imagine. The thing is, like, you have to create a sort of reasoning so you feel secure and your brain can focus on surviving or doing something more useful than to worrying about a freaking volcano erupting. So, well, notice we're getting into religion. So that's an important part of happiness. So much people are happy thanks to religions. Now, you might be tempting, to conclude that, you're saying that religions are made up. You're saying, because, you just don't understand, so you create a story and then you believe in the story. Yes, but I'm not saying God doesn't exist. I'm not saying religions are fake. I'm not saying they are true either. But I just don't care about religions, to be honest. But this is my personal view. Let's go back to objective definitions. So religions are, for example, I don't know much about, but let's take like Spanish. Most of the people here are like Catholic and stuff like this. Like they pray to God or Jesus or whatever. And they have these beliefs of, yes, Sunday is the resting day and Jesus is the father of whatever. And then we have to love each other because we are all like brothers and shit like this. When I say shit like this, I don't mean it's shit. It's just the way I speak. And stuff like this, think when I say shit, like don't think I'm attacking something. I'm just change it with stuff. Yeah, in Spain we use a lot of swear words to speak, and I'm just speaking in Spanish and saying it in English. So I'm not saying like, oh yeah, Jesus is shit. No, I'm not saying it that way. Don't worry. So yeah, you just create your beliefs, and And that's like intelligent. That's the thing. Like, having beliefs is what makes us intelligent, is what makes us create problems. Sorry, solve problems. Because if we didn't have beliefs, we would be like, so much information. So actually, if I say it this way, right? Beliefs and rationality are different sides of the same coin. The two different techniques our biological brain processes information. One cannot exist without the other. So actually, religions, some people say religions are stupid, like, oh, how can you believe something you cannot prove? You're stupid. I don't think this way, but some people think this way. Well, it's actually part of intelligence. Without this, we wouldn't have intelligence. And without this, also without rationality, we wouldn't have intelligence. We need both. Like, you cannot just conclude that someone being religious is someone stupid, because you literally need that. And you also are fixing some definitions on your life. Maybe you're not fixing the definition of who created the universe, right? Who created everything? Religious person will say God, or maybe, I don't know, Allah, maybe? I don't know. But like a God, the figure of something very powerful. They choose to answer this way. We don't know if they are right. We don't know if they are wrong. But maybe you're choosing another belief. Your belief might be that the building will not fall. Or let's say, your belief is that when you're going to the street, no one will gonna try to kill you. That's also a belief. That's not true. Someone can kill you any moment, but you choose to believe no one will do so, and you walk on the street more relaxed. So we all create beliefs in some way or another for different purposes. Like, some people want to be a good citizen, they want to be a good person, and they are like, okay, how can I be a good person? And then religion says, any religion, to be a good person, well, you have to do this, this, and this. And then you're like, yeah, makes sense. I'm gonna do it. So you just become religious, and you become what you think is a good person. And sometimes it is, sometimes it might not be. Like, reality, it's very complex, so you have to think constantly, keep updating yourself so you can find deeper truths and better coordinate with everyone. So, okay, I'm getting a bit lost, right? So, answering questions creates happiness. That's why answering this question, oh, what created everything? Knowing that makes you feel relieved, makes you feel more safe, because now you have brain power to focus on something you care more, like eating, or finding food, or enjoying some time with your friend. Oh, what do we do this Sunday? Oh, let's go to church, right? That's the answer really what a religion will give you. What do we do this Sunday? Oh, let's go play some ping pong, some table tennis. Someone who likes that will do that. Like, different people do different things to eventually feel happy. So now the thing is, we have to coordinate all that somehow. And of course, because of physical realities, we should do it without killing each other, because that's the opposite of what we are built to be, survive and happiness. So we have to manage to coordinate everyone without killing anyone, if possible, and without making everyone be happy, or not too bored, or suffering. Like, that's if possible, right? Is it possible? We will see later. So that's what we do, right? That's how humans work. Everything we do is oriented to happiness. At the end of the day, whether you want to admit it or not, we are seeking this shit. This is like our cocaine. We do like happiness. That's why some people just fuck up their health and don't give a shit with drugs, right? Let's talk about drugs now. With drugs, like, oh, I don't care because I feel happy. It's like we are programmed to do that in such extreme ways that we can kill ourselves just by seeking, looking for happiness. And I'm going to use these two ideas, right, to create the new essential concept we must understand, which is intelligence. Okay, what is intelligence? Well, I think I'm going to make a pause so you think about everything I've said. Pause time. Okay, enough pause. So we got we got a very complex problem, the problem of happiness, because we need others, because we're humans, and that's just a biological reality. But every human likes something different, and every human answers questions in different ways. The most obvious thing is religion. Some people believe in one religion, some people believe in other religions, some people like one sport, some people like other sport, and now somehow we have to manage to coordinate all this information, all these variables, all these things. And we do it, all this, we eventually do it with a biological mechanism in our brain where we fix information, creating beliefs, and then we analyze the world and solve problems in the meanwhile. So how do we coordinate all this? Okay. And also the drugs problem. Yo, if I just inject a lot of drugs into my veins, I will be happy. Success, because I am alive and I'm happy. Well, you're gonna die soon if you start doing this shit. So not success. Success in the short term. If this is the time, okay, you're alive here, and here you're like dead, completely dead. Boo, 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 boo. Okay. So how do we coordinate everyone, and how we try not to die due to bad decisions? Well, intelligence, that's the answer, which will be for another video. Okay, this will be in another video because it's also a pretty complex thing, and this is already a pretty long video. Let's see if this is recording. Cool, it's recording. So yeah, right, because so what is happiness, right? That was the question at the beginning. We didn't define it. We just were analyzing the factors that influence it. We can say that happiness is a chemical reward in our brains. That's something we saw, something we know from a fact, from science, from other people have studied this and realized that, hey, these chemical rewards, when they are secreted in your brain, you are happy. That's part of the definition, right? So let's finish this video with creating the general definition of happiness. And then we saw a lot of activities, a lot of questions, a lot of things that makes us be happy, a lot of actions, more healthy actions like sports, or more unhealthy actions like injecting fucking drugs in your veins, which is not good because it's short-term. It's very short-term thing. So what is happiness, right? Well, let's do the definition. Let's just give you a bit of a moment to think while I erase the whiteboard. Oh, I'm getting hungry. I didn't have breakfast. So let's just finish the video. Hope I didn't forget anything. Let's create a definition. So happiness is a feeling that it appears in our body when we have a certain chemical reaction because we are executing a pattern. Okay, pattern is any activity, learning, playing sports, whatever. And when it's executing, I mean when you analyze something, when you experience something, when you create something, when you repeat something that you have enjoyed previously, that's like executing activities. So we have to create this chemical reaction, executing patterns, and this will make us not to be bored and not to suffer. And we have to be able to do this in a different, because if you in a frequent enough frequency basis, huh? So because if you don't do it frequently enough, well, you get bored and then you're not happy. Okay, so that's the definition of happiness? No, because we're missing one key part. We have to have survival, statistically granted. Okay, for that we need food, we need water, and we need security. With security, I mean having the certainty that you will not die tomorrow or in a few seconds. You have to be certain that nothing is going to attack you and feel safe. So you need security, this feeling of safeness. Water, because you need to drink. If you don't think, why do we need to drink? I don't know, it's just what we need. And food. So once survival is statistically granted, and you create this chemical reaction by executing patterns, so you avoid boredom in a frequent enough basis, which, by the way, you need intelligence to do it. So it's like when you create this pattern to avoid boredom in an intelligent way, so you do it in a frequent enough basis, bada boom, that is happiness. That is a happy human. Yes, we are happy. Nice. Notice that drug abuse falls into that definition, and that might feel wrong. Like, how can drug abuse be something that makes us happy? Because when you see someone who is like a drug addict, you see him suffering. You see him like a zombie sometimes, like with fentanyl, and that's not happiness. Is there something wrong with our definition? That's something you have to do. Like, just think about. As you can see, right now I'm doing the same thing as before. As at the beginning, we have different concepts that influence happiness. We have like sex here, food here, other activities here, and all of them were related to happiness. We're creating the concept of happiness. And I was thinking, oh, but if I take just these two, why I'm not taking into account this one? And now we have another question that is defying our current definition, which is like, well, it's very clear that drug addicts are not happy. Why are we including them? Why is this correct under our definition? Well, let's analyze further. Drug addicts, whether you like it or not, they are happy for a while. They have periods of a lot of happiness because they are with the drugs and shit like this. Then they have periods of misery and then periods of happiness. But you see, there are periods of happiness. Happiness is not an absolute thing. It's a spectrum. You can be more happy, less happy, more happy, less happy. It's not a switch, It's not like turn on, turn off. It's a spectrum. And drug addict people go very high, then go very low, then go very high in the spectrum. So it's actually correct. Our definition is correct. Drug people are being happy. More happy, less happy, but they are being happy. Now, that means, should we become drug addicts? No. That's why we need another factor to understand, which is intelligence, and it will be explained in another video. But look at this. When you are a drug addict, your lifespan shortens. You maybe live for 40 years or less, depends on the drugs you take. But if you don't take drugs and you're healthy, you maybe live for 96 years, for example. So, yeah, both are happy. Both can be happy. Maybe this one is more happy than this one. If he's happy during all this period, but he's happy during all this period, then he has been more happy and he has been consuming drugs. So why shouldn't we do it? That's a question for yourself too. Pause the video, think about it, answer it. Or maybe in tendency terms, usually it's not like this. But that's just an observed thing. Theoretically, it can happen that someone who abuses drugs is very happy during his life, even if it's a shorter life than someone who doesn't abuse drugs. So, but we clearly have this intuition that taking drugs is bad, and it is. So, what's going on, right? Like, why is happiness? If happiness is a good thing, and we are defining it. Why is it leading us to bad things? Well, just because this is not the whole thing in human existence. This is just one part of it, one thing we use to guide ourselves and to maintain our species. We need more stuff to actually survive and be efficient. We need intelligence, and that's the next video about. That's what the next video is about. Because, you know, I was talking to a friend about this, and he gave me a very extreme example. Imagine you have a baby. Okay, eventually I'm trying to create a philosophy so people have the best life they can have, but we cannot just have happiness, because then we can conclude that just fucking get drug addicted, that's it. And that's not it. If we do that, species goes burr, burr, burr. So we need another factor. Okay, happiness is very easy to understand because everyone wants it, everyone craves it. That's why I start explaining it. But then you need intelligence. Otherwise, you risk falling into drug addiction. Because being a drug addict is not intelligent, and we will understand why in the next video. Let's come back to the example my friend gave me, which is like, okay, then you take a baby, you know, if you have a philosophy for life, that's what cheerfulism is, the philosophy based on happiness and intelligence, defined in a very objective way. Cheerfulism is optimize happiness, maximizing your intelligence. We will understand what that actually means in deeper ways in future videos and stuff like this. And then my friend gave me, because I was explaining to him what I think we should do in life and shit like this, and I was only explaining him the happiness part, so he didn't know about this other part yet. And he told me, okay, but according to your philosophy of happiness, if we take a baby, you know, he's like 1 hour long, then we inject cocaine in the baby and we throw him from a bridge and the baby dies. This would have been the perfect human existence because he has been happy all his life, right? He was born, he was crying, you put cocaine on the baby, 90% of his life is happy, and then he immediately dies. Is this what we want in life? Is this how we thrive as a species? Clearly not. My friend had a very extreme and intelligent counterexample to my philosophy. Not to my definition. By definition, the baby was happy. But we don't need happiness. We don't only need happiness. We also need intelligence. But what is intelligence? How it correlates to happiness? All this will be explained in another video. I think I'm leaving not much things. And also intelligence, we need it not only for not becoming drug addicts, but to coordinate with others, remember? Because the intelligence allows us to coordinate better. Let's say it that way for now. So we need intelligence. Let's see, I've defined happiness. Survival is statistically, it's a feeling that you get when your survival is statistically granted, and the chemical rewards are secreted when you execute a pattern in an intelligent way, such as avoiding boredom in a desired basis. And then you're happy. You can do a lot of things for this. Play tennis, drugs, pray to God, whatever. A lot of patterns, and every person will have different patterns that they enjoy, and they will enjoy them for longer periods of time, smaller periods of time, stuff like this. And to be able to coordinate all that, you need to be intelligent. So you actually survive, be happy, and also your children too, and your fucking whole species survives. Okay? So how do we do that? I'm trying to explain all this. So that's the thing. So then if we do this super good, we get an utopia. We get an utopia. And this is what these tutorials are all about. Teaching people how to behave so we can create an utopia, regardless of who you are, regardless of what you believe in, regardless of what sports you like, regardless of anything. Only according to being human, how can we create an utopia? This is what these classes are actually about. Sure, there's like different ways of explaining happiness. You should read the first chapter of my book. It's just a few pages. so you get more details about all this and more like visual definitions, structures. Maybe I create a different part of the video where I do it, but for now this is just a test and maybe the final one. Let's see what I do. But yeah, kind of like I've explained happiness, I've explained like why we need intelligence. There is a better way of explaining happiness, which will be added right now in a different video, which will be part of this video. I'll just put them together. By the way, this is time for you to think, to pause the video, think about it, or watch me do, thinking in real time. So yeah, there are some explanations here that I like, and which also help to understand happiness. But these definitions were like, yeah. Anyway, so we analyzed, we thought, we questioned, we pondered alternatives, we seeked for deeper truths. And you see, there is a risk, right? If you only define happiness, you might conclude like, oh, I need to be a drug addict. So you eventually waste your life if you're not intelligent enough to realize that you need another thing. And now you have the question of, what is that other thing? You might think other thing, happiness and whatever. Happiness and love, happiness and money, happiness and freedom, happiness and what? The real answer is, or the most general answer is, happiness and intelligence. So, like, for example, there's a lot of thoughts, right? Like from people. United States, for example, they think freedom is the ultimate thing. Oh yeah, freedom, freedom, freedom. So they would say we need happiness and to be free. Not really true. We will see why later, but I mean, it's true sometimes, but only sometimes. The actual truth, the general case, is happiness and intelligence. Why is going to be explained later. Now let's go back to the other part of the video, or let's finish it. Let's see. That's it for now.